Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Organically Ann, where I am going to show you how to prune a rogue tomato plant. This tomato plant happens to be an indeterminate, so it is a huge project we've got going on. I kind of let this tomato plant do her own thing because I had a really big job that I was working on. And now I am dealing with a Medusa plant. Is it even worth pruning it? The answer is pretty straightforward. To get nice, voluptuous tomatoes, you take the time to prune your tomatoes. You're allowing the sugars to be able to go to the flowers, to the fruit, and not have to put so much work into photosynthesis. It's going to photosynthesize regardless with having its leaves. But having this many is going to take away from the fruit. Now, if I just wanted it as a lovely bush, well, I think we've achieved that. But that's not what we're striving for. I love me some tomatoes. I'm going to show you how I go about pruning my tomato plants in order to have a fuller harvest. This summer has been extremely hot, and so one thing that tomato plants do go through, they slow down their production during the heat. When it's getting above 95, 100 degrees, it's going to slow down fruiting. It's going to take longer to ripen. Now we are in October in zone 9, so I am going to have the opportunity to get some fruit from my tomato plants clear until I would say the end of November, unless we have some kind of freaky frost. Even if I'm getting close to the end of my harvest, I want those green tomatoes because then I'm going to pickle them. Pickled green tomatoes. Family recipe. But most importantly, I want some of these beauties. Time for the messy bun, y'all. There we go. Let's get to work. A lot of these branches are going to be staked up. Wow. Let me put our stake in. Nice little point on the end. That trusty mallet. So now we've got our stakes in. We're gonna pull these branches up, prune the underside. I love zip ties because they're super easy to use. And by the end of summer, they pretty much snap off because of the heat of the sun. Throw them in the recycle and it's all good. Now, when you're pulling your branches up, you have to be extremely careful because they will break. But any of your branches that you go ahead and clip, don't feel like it's a loss because you can always go ahead and stick them in a glass of water, let them root, and this will give you adult tomato plants right off the bat. Snip and snip. One more. Right here at the top. I'm gonna snip off that. Stick her in water. She'll be fine and she will root. Now here, I've got a couple of them in here. Wow. And look at that root system. Time to plant these before I lose them. You can see there's some healthy roots in there amidst the algae in my glass. And I just forget about them sometimes, but I have 3 tomato plants here that are ready to be planted. Time to get to transplanting these guys. So now when I am pruning, the example I want to show you, say this stem right here is at the base of your tomato plant. You have a sunleaf. Here in the crotch or the axil is this is your sucker right here. This will produce the perfect cloning branch to clone off of. It's like its own little tomato plant coming all together. It also makes up what you see here, all these offshoot vines. And then we come up here and this is a fruiting branch. Now, if this branch was in the ground, you would want to snip this here below the second fruiting branch and allow the main stem to go up. Clearly, I have way too many suckers that have become vines. This is not ideal, but this video is all about pruning a rogue tomato plant. I'm gonna leave the canopy pretty full so the leaves shade it from the hot sun, but the underbelly here is what I'm opening up. So that looks really nice. It also has opened up some light to my basil down there. Looks good to me. Now here is another reason you want to keep your tomato plants pruned up. See the dead leaves? Now, dead leaves and yellowing leaves can be a telltale sign of either disease, tomato hornworms. When you have all this density, it leaves room for pests to come in. The other thing is the plants that are underneath, as you can see here, I have a squash. I have yellow squash growing. Look at that, trellising up my tomato plant. It will give it more light as well. You don't need these dead leaves. Even though they're yellowing, they're still utilizing some of the sugars that the tomato uses to feed itself. So that's why it's going to be so good to clean up some of this space in here. I have clippers, but a lot of times I just go like that. And look, I'm already seeing tomatoes that are growing that I would have missed otherwise. See that there? Over here. Look at that beauty. Yep, all right. More growing there. And more squash down there hiding out. So I've got a lot of work to do here, and I will update you as I go along. Now see how cleaned up we are now under there? Isn't that great? Beautiful. And we have our branches staked with all the fruit that they have. I will just continue to go through, snip off any unnecessary suckers, like this one right here. See this? Just pinch that right off. Pinch that one right off. It's going to allow that energy, sugars, to go up into my plant, and I have them attached to their stakes up above. I think we're going to do good with this one. So that is how you go and make the best out of a rogue, indeterminate tomato plant so that you can get the most fruit from it and keep it as disease resistant and pest resistant as possible. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Organic Leanne. If you know of someone who can benefit from it, please be sure and share it. If you have not subscribed yet, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Organic Leanne, and stay tuned for many more wonderful garden tips that I do on my urban homestead in a Zone 9 region. Blessings to you, and looking forward to seeing you again on Organic Leanne.